and welcome to Chat with Leaders. Our mission is to give resilient, servant leaders a platform for sharing the inspiring things they're doing to lead their teams, clients, and themselves wisely. I'm Tim Smith, Executive Partner at Stratfield Consulting and today's host. I'm joined by Tom Hall, SVP and CIO of NAPA, the Automotive Parts Group and largest group of genuine parts. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
You know, in the 10 years we've known each other, and I've said this to you before, I've seen how your integrity is really only matched by your skills as a leader. So again, thanks so much for being here.
Well, thanks, Tim.
Of course. Can you share a little bit about your current role?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, I'm the SVP and CIO at the U.S. Automotive Parts Group, or NAPA, at Genuine Parts Company. So we are the largest subsidiary of Genuine Parts Company. We're headquartered here in Atlanta. Most people probably don't know that NAPA Auto Parts is headquartered here in Atlanta.
Right.
Actually, I didn't know until I actually interviewed with them for the job. So small fact, we kind of fly under the radar, but a pretty big company here in Atlanta, Fortune 200, of course.
Right.
And, have a pretty strong presence in the Atlanta market.
That's great. That's very impressive, Tom. And thanks for sharing that. In every one of these chats, I like for guests to tell us 2 to 3 things that people may not know about them. This is my second one, so I can confidently tell you I'm 100% consistent with this so far. But if you could share us 2 to 3 things, that'd be great.
Well, I always struggle when this question comes up, Tim, because it just shows what a life I don't have outside.
That's not true.
But actually, I've been in IT a long time, about 40 years. So when I tell our college interns that that I was in IT before we had cell phones, before we had email, before we had laptops, before we had any of that, their eyes get as big as saucers, and
Right.
and they look at me like the dinosaur they probably think I am.
No.
But so I've been in IT a long time. I actually got into it in high school through a vocational program, and just really it struck a chord with me, and it's been a phenomenal way to go. I'm a twin. A lot of people may not know that. And when I was born way back in the early 60s, twins were not as common as they might be today. So we were a bit of a novelty in Norfolk, Virginia, where we grew up. And Norfolk, where I grew up, is, of course, a huge Navy town, and especially back at the end of, during the Cold War. But we were probably one of the 4 families in the whole city that were not military.
Really?
Yeah, my grandfather came over from Ireland, and that's where he settled, and that's where we lived.
I think that's incredible. Those are 3 great ones.
Well, it's as good as it gets on short notice, I guess.
No, on any notice, those are 3 great ones to share. I just learned, one thing, so that's terrific. So thanks for that. What we had said is that we're all operating in an unusual and unprecedented time. I've said that before, and the purpose of this conversation is really all about providing inspiration and ideas in a short conversation. So just to get right into it, from your perspective, what are the 1 to 2 biggest challenges leaders are needing to address first right now?
Well, I would probably put that in. I'd probably put them in 2 categories, Tim, and that is, the first one would be, which I think is most important, and that's team engagement, and the softer side of this, recognizing the emotions, the fear, the concerns that our associates and employees and partners have. And then the second side of it, I think, would be leveraging this opportunity. I truly believe that this could be the catalyst to change quicker. as a company, I'll start on this one first. As a company, we, being a $18 billion company, we don't always move quickly. Over these past 6 weeks, we've had to move much quicker on some programs. We have shifted our digital presence, our curbside pickup, the kind of things that our consumers today need.
Right.
We have executed and moved mountains in a short period of time, and we've done that very quickly. So, I think the one positive that might come out of this is it will force us to change the way we do things much quicker than we would have if we were just steady state.
Great point.
So hopefully that'll be the positive out of that. But I heard a quote the other day and I thought, wow, it was so appropriate. And it was, I read where someone said they feel like they're swimming in a sea of opportunity.
Huh.
And I thought, wow, how appropriate, because we can change so much now. We can do so many things differently. We can, our business models have changed quickly already. And this is the time where there's appetite to make other changes, where there is, maybe even more acceptance and tolerance of maybe failure while we're trying to change quickly. So I think, one of the big challenges I think we all have is how do we leverage this to change quicker? How do we move quicker as a company, and how do we move quicker as a people and everything else? The second side of that, the challenge I think is really on the engagement side. 6 weeks ago, we all went home to our home offices and we all, joined Zoom calls and WebEx and Teams. And, what dawned on me after 2 weeks is I thought, wow, I'm pretty connected with what's happening in the business. But I thought, I have 200 people that are sitting in, that are sitting in their home office who probably don't understand what's happening in the world outside of their home office,
Right.
especially from a business perspective. So we spun up a town hall that week, a virtual town hall, had a few bumps in getting 250 people on and going. But I just gave everyone an update on here's what we're doing as a company for the virus. Here's how many cases we have in our company. We're an essential business, so we still have 57 distribution centers that are online and 6,500 stores that are open to service customers today.
Wow.
So, but when we have a positive case in one of those facilities, we have protocol we have to follow. And I thought, our employees that are home in their home office have no clue what that is. So anyway, I think that the thing we can't lose sight of is staying engaged with all of our people.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's always the extroverts who are reaching out and checking in and talking, but probably the folks we got to really be very deliberate about connecting with are the folks that are probably more introverted and are very happy just to kind of be off on their own, doing their own thing. Those are the folks that we can't leave behind during all this.
That's terrific. So, I was going to ask you a follow-up question to that of what do you think leaders should be applying right now? But I've already heard you say three things. I've heard you say, make sure that you're operating at the speed your internal and external customers really should expect and need right now during this time. I heard you say, make sure you're using this for creating opportunities. Have the appropriate courage to work through things that are certainly happening, but don't lose sight of the fact that this can actually create opportunity for your organization, and have the mindset for that. And then through the town halls, I heard you talk about just communication and collaboration and making sure that you're being transparent and being strong in the way that you're communicating with your teams. But is there anything else, or did I get that all?
No, I think those are the three things I keep talking to my leadership team about. These are things we can't forget and things we have to be in front of.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. I think that you're ahead of the curve on a lot of this, and so I think that's really good advice. Thanks, Tom. So, from an inspirational perspective, is there something or someone, or is there a source of inspiration that you're finding during this time that others might be able to get inspiration from as well? Or, what's your advice around even just staying motivated? Or, I just like to learn, you're such a positive person and very encouraging. I would just like to know how your bucket is getting filled, and, what
Yeah.
inspires you.
That's an interesting question because I'm like everyone else. There are days I wake up and I think, can I do this again? Can we do
Yeah.
this for another day? Can I do,
Right.
in week 7? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
um, I think a couple of things have probably struck a chord with me. The first one is creativity. I really get a lot of energy out of folks who are bringing new ideas and saying, hey, we should look at this, or we should look at that, or we should do this differently. But probably the other thing, Tim, you mentioned positive attitude. Early on in this, I would join our leadership team meet calls, and everyone would be laughing and joking, and I would sit there and I would think, how can we be laughing? How can we be joking? We've just furloughed employees. We've
Yeah.
let go of a large number of contractors who are now in a market that is not at the opportunity that it did
Tough
even
things. Yeah.
6 weeks ago. So I kind of sat there and I thought, this doesn't feel right to me. And then after after a few days of struggling with that, I thought, it is okay to feel, it is okay to laugh, it is okay to feel good about this, it is okay to be a positive
Yeah.
force with our teams.
Yeah.
They look to us to provide not only direction and leadership, but also tone
Mm.
and, and demeanor. So, so probably the challenge there is balancing how do you keep a very positive attitude, but also acknowledge the impact on people. In a town hall, I can't be cheerleader and upbeat when we just let a large number of contractors go or furloughed employees, because these are people who helped us a month ago deliver on very critical projects.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to balance that. But I think probably what has inspired me is just the realization that it's okay to be positive. It's okay to have a good outlook. It's okay to laugh sometimes. It's okay to celebrate even the smallest of wins, even if they're minute compared to what we saw even 2 months ago.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's really good. I think that's, I appreciate your heart and, wanting to make sure that you're being considerate of the people that are being impacted by this. Excuse me. And I think that comes across very sincerely, Tom, but also making sure that you are celebrating the things that are going on well, or that you're optimistic about, and be encouraging. And I hear you saying that, and I think that's really well said. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. You're terrific. I really appreciate all
Gosh,
the
thanks.
information you shared. So, everything you provided today is going to be shared in another episode on our website and social media site. People can visit us at chatwithleaders.com or email us any suggestions or questions to info@chatwithleaders.com. So thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tim. Always a pleasure to see you.
Genuinely, thanks so much.